Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast for media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Mathmachine, Angron, and LuckyEevee. Today is our 14th episode, and we're discussing 2019's How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. So, let's get things started.
And another thing to note, we will also relatively be covering the Snoggletog log and the Christmas special Homecoming, so be sure to keep an ear out for those while we do the stream.
Oh, Lord, that's 2019.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly. So, How to Train Your Dragon is DreamWorks' most serious franchise, and it definitely is one of their best. I actually read one of the books because for some reason they had it in my school library in secondary school, and I decided to read it. It was okay, but it was a little bit too, I don't know, too childish. It didn't
Same.
really do as much with the concept as the movies did. This is
Yeah.
one of the cases where a movie is way better than its source material. Way
An
better
entire
than the books.
franchise is better than its own book series.
That,
How do you
that is
do
something
that?
that is very rare from book to movie adaptations. But yeah, the third movie is usually the weakest in a movie trilogy, and that is no different for this one because it is apparently very divisive amongst fans of the franchise. Now, DreamWorks is a very strange studio because they can make absolute classics like this series, or they can make stuff like Boss Baby or Trolls. So it's like you get one or the other, it seems.
Yeah. Though I will defend Trolls just a little bit. It wasn't as bad as, say, Shark Tale. Good lord, nothing will ever be as bad as Shark Tale in terms of DreamWorks, but yeah, I will admit that Trolls had a few flaws here and there.
Definitely. But yeah, so this movie, it starts off really interesting because it shows Burke with the dragon and humans coexisting as almost a utopia. And it definitely is a concept that is fun, especially when compared to the last two movies. It feels like the natural evolution of where the second one ended off, basically. And one little, I have a couple of criticisms with this movie, and this is one of them. I feel like he could have actually shown the dragons and the humans coexisting a little bit more. I feel like that kind of got pushed to the sideline for what the main story was.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
yeah, and the interesting thing is that, of course, this basically peaceful equilibrium is broken by the villain Grimmel. Now, it was not originally going to be Grimmel. Drago from the second movie was going to actually return for this one as the main villain, but they wrote him off. And normally that would be kind of a, bad move, but I actually think that Grimmel is probably one of the better villains in the franchise. I mean, he is just so imposing and so threatening. Maybe not as physically threatening as Drago from the second one, but his motivations and basically just everything about his character is really, I feel, makes him the best villain of the franchise.
Yeah. I also feel that, yeah, honestly, he has the same appeal as someone like, say, Jack Horner does. Like, his motive, for the most part, is a little dubious, but honestly, you don't really need a motive to really do what you do. Like, I mean, granted, there is one, motive that you got from freaking Grimmel, and that I just love the thrill of the hunt. And honestly, hunter stereotypes like those definitely make it feel very, definitely are one of those underrated kinds of villains that make it feel very edgy and very much intense sometimes. Here we do get that, honestly. This is arguably one of the most challenging villains the tribe of Burke has ever had to face, and honestly, that leads into the whole relative theme of the entire freaking movie. It's that sometimes you're not gonna be able to protect them all, you know?
Exactly. That's an excellent point right there. And
Yeah.
like I say, his performance as well with Grimmel is very well done. He's voiced by F. Murray Abraham. And every time, and even though he's putting on a Russian accent in this movie, I can't help but think he's just Salieri who's trying to kill Mozart with dragons. But yeah, as you were saying, you made a very, very good point with the movie's message, and especially with its ending, which of course we'll get to later on in this podcast episode. But it definitely led up to it. I feel like the movie, one of the things that it did right was the story progressed in such a way to where it was a kind of what needed to happen ending, even though it wasn't the happiest sort. I feel like it was basically a good way for the trilogy as a whole to wrap up. For like the cinematic version
Even
of it.
though it kind of did undermine everything that the TV series ultimately did. I mean, to be fair, we have Rescue Riders and potentially we have the Nine Realms. I have not seen it yet. But yeah, it's kind of a little sad that we didn't really get any representation from that either, because I've heard a lot of good things about the shows, and I've seen a few episodes of the show.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely is a missed opportunity. I'll have to agree with you there. But yeah, like I said, this movie in particular, of course, it's DreamWorks, and DreamWorks typically has fantastic animation, but this movie is absolutely beautiful. Just like the settings feel so alive, they feel so lived in. The various dragon designs are extremely well done, and I feel like they really pulled out all the stops with this movie. Definitely, they really took this concept, and if they felt like, okay, we're gonna make this be the last one of the movie trilogy, let's make it the best one they did. Now, with that being said, I do have to admit I like How to Train Your Dragon 2 a little bit better than Hidden World. I feel like compared to that, this movie is a little bit weaker, but it's not the movie's fault. It's still an excellent movie, and it's probably one of the better of the DreamWorks movies in their whole catalog. But yeah, I definitely have to admit that this movie, like I say, it's a really good movie, but it's not without a little bit of flaws. And I feel like one of them is that the other Viking characters are kind of pushed to the sidelines a little bit. I mean, I understand why they did that, but compared to the aspects in like the previous films, I feel like for the most part they didn't get as much screen time as they should have, considering this was kind of the theatrical send-off for them. I mean, they obviously knew they were going to make the Christmas special, which we'll talk about, but I feel like for the final movie, they should have done a little bit more with them.
Yeah, I really wanted to see more of the Hidden World. It looked so fantastic. It looked like a place that legit could have been explored more. Like something like, say, Area Zero from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It was so fascinating. Oh, by the way, spoilers for Scarlet and Violet on this one. Area Zero just looked so fascinating. A little samey, but it was diverse enough that it ultimately looked like something that I legit wanted to see explored a little bit more, because oh my gosh, it just looked amazing. Like and it circles back to the Hidden World, because the Hidden World, it definitely looks like a draconic paradise, all things considered.
They did an amazing job with it.
Also, it would have been a good excuse for Toothless and Nubless / Light Fury / Akira / whatever to ultimately bond a little more, for Toothless to learn more about himself, instead of like having it left up to freaking imagination what happened and how Toothless ultimately became a proper Titan wing, you know?
Exactly. But yeah, that's the other thing too with the Hidden World, is that despite being in the title of the movie, it feels like that too is pushed a little bit, once again, to the sidelines, that it's not really focused on as much as it should be. And it's a shame because it looks beautiful. All the dragons in it are absolutely fantastic designs. I mean, if Smaug is like the greatest cinematic dragon, in film history, these guys are up there. These look incredible. But I just feel, from a storytelling purpose, it feels like what this was, it's almost like they had two movie ideas, and they were like, oh, but we're not making How to Train Your Dragon 4, so let's try and mash all of these things into one movie, and it suffers a little bit as a result.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing: the action sequences at the end of the movie, like with the raid on the ship and that, and it is great. It is probably one of the best DreamWorks action sequences ever. It's not as good as say like Last Wish, but Last Wish is just amazing in general. But
Oh
it
yeah,
is
Last Wish is
really,
awesome.
really good. I mean, it is so. It really shows the amount of detail that they really put into it. I feel, with this movie in particular, it's like they do stuff like Boss Baby, so they can make movies like this. I would take 10,000 Boss Baby sequels if it gives us more movies like How to Train Your Dragon franchise, basically.
Oh
Where,
yeah,
it really,
absolutely.
really is incredible. And speaking of dragons, we're going to talk about the dragoness in this, the Light Fury. Now, the
Yep.
interesting thing, the first draft of the script didn't even have the Light Fury in it. It was
Oh
actually
dear.
added in like a second draft in that. And the thing that's really fascinating is DreamWorks had to invent new software to handle the lighting on the Light Fury,
Oh
which
dear.
it really shows because the Light Fury is so ethereal and beautiful. People might say, "Oh, it's just a female version of like Toothless," or "Oh, it's a female, light version of a Night Fury." But no, I feel like that's wrong. That's a misnomer because the Light Fury has so much personality and she has so much basically design and basically care put into how it looks and how her powers are and that I feel they did a excellent job with it. They did a fantastic job with it. It really
Yeah.
had such a almost ethereal design compared to like the other dragons
Yeah.
basically to where it
Even though
seemed so otherworldly.
even though basically it even though okay, a thing on her design, like it almost looks like there's very subtle the differences between her and Toothless. Toothless has more of a masculine build with yeah, he does have the bigger paws at the end and acts more wolf-like as well as cat-like. Nubless is just straight up a freaking let's be fair. And
Yeah,
also,
I can see
it's
it.
very much noticeable in like her forelegs and her hind legs that basically it looks very sleek and very slender. And also, another thing, she very much it honestly reminds me a little bit of Puss in Boots and Kitty Softpaws and how they somewhat mirror Toothless and Nubless to a sort of extent. Because like if you look back and forth between them, I mean, you got the eyes, Hiccup. No wait, Toothless and freaking Puss's eyes are green, and Kitty's and Nubless are blue. But yeah, it pretty much like both of them. They both also have very interesting personalities that sort of overlap with each other if you really think about it.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. For my for my basically how I felt, their relationship really, for me, seemed a lot more like Wally and Eve's. Basically,
Yeah,
that's what it really reminded me of the most. Not that it's a bad thing, because Wally is my favorite
yeah.
Pixar movie of all time, but it did seem a little bit like it. Like they basically watched Wally and were like, "Yes, let's do that, but dragon." Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course, because it is
Honestly,
still a
there's a
very,
little
very
difference is in between that, and honestly, the story structure definitely helps differentiate that from Wally. But yeah, I 100% see what you're talking about.
yeah. And originally, it's a shame because there were quite a bit of deleted parts of the film, mostly with the Light Fury, that definitely I feel would have enhanced the movie with her and basically her relationship with Toothless in general. Originally, the scene with Toothless flying with the Light Fury went on for much longer, and it actually showed them basically learning to bond with each other and falling in love. Whereas something that's only really implied, or not so much implied, but not done as much as it could have been. And I feel like that is a missed opportunity because I don't know if this footage has surfaced anywhere. I have not seen any deleted scenes, so I will not be able to say. But I feel like that is such a missed opportunity because I feel like, yes, it's an action movie. Yes, it's the finale of a trilogy and that. But at the heart of it, it's also trying to be a romance story. And don't get me wrong, the courtship scene between Toothless and the Light Fury is hilarious and heartwarming, and it is great. But I feel that in general, they didn't focus on it as much as they could have. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad movie at all. Far, far, far from it. This is still a very good movie, and it's a very good trilogy. Even the weakest in a trilogy, I feel, is definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, it's because the movie was already over 100 minutes long, and DreamWorks is rather notorious for taking test screenings really seriously. That scene probably didn't test well with kids, and they shortened it because of that.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, Jeffrey Katzenberg was definitely well known for that. Because I remember he almost wanted to cut out, I believe, Kiss the Girl from Little Mermaid because it had some poor test screenings, and Disney was like, no, keep it in. Are you crazy? But yeah, Jeffrey Katzenberg, he wasn't with DreamWorks by this time, but he was probably one of the more instrumental founders of it. And I could see them definitely using his philosophy in terms of trimming stuff out of movies, and a lot of the times not to its benefit, unfortunately, in this case. And another thing that was cut out of it, which had the Light Fury was found in a cage aboard the Trapper's ship, and she was straight released. And what happened is Toothless was originally to burn the harness that was muzzling her, and he literally sees himself in her reflection. So that was another thing that I feel could have been a really nice touch to the movie. And again, they cut it out, probably for, poor test screenings. Now, despite this, I feel that their relationship is very, very well done and is one of the highlights of the movie. And again, it really showcases how DreamWorks can, when they really, really put effort into it, when they're not doing stuff like Turbo or Trolls or Boss Baby, when they really knuckle down and put their minds and hearts to it, they can make great, great movies. And this is definitely an example of it.
Yeah, this is definitely a good example. It also leads into the Christmas special because after everything that transpired, the hunter pretty much trying to kidnap both Toothless and Light Fury and pretty much the entire dragon population of Berg, and pretty much realizing that they rely too much on dragons and also overpopulation. Let's be fair. Holy fuck.
That was definitely a problem with the beginning of the movie. But the ending is really... just getting back to the movie, just 1 second, then we'll talk about the Christmas special a little bit. But the ending, I understand why it had to be done. It definitely, was the logical endpoint to the series, basically. It was where it was probably going to always end up this way. Let's be real. Still, it is really, when you watch it for the first time, it is like a punch in the gut. It is so... It's really tear-jerking because the humans realize we do not respect or deserve dragons whatsoever, and they basically have to live in the hidden world. And the ending, to survive, exactly, to survive. And when Hiccup returns, years later with his children to see Toothless doesn't even recognize him at first. He's ready to attack him, and it's that is just, I don't know how you guys think, but to me, that is really, really sad. That is
it's sad. However, it does ultimately call back to the first film. And
it works as a full circle thing. I will admit that.
Yeah,
but
it is very much full circle. And it's but still, it's pretty sad that Toothless decides to do that to his homeboy, because even though they have that sort of hidden agreement sort of thing going on, and I get that Toothless wants to protect the world, protect the hidden world, so nothing bad happens to it. Yeah, to his own friend, that's definitely got to be a little harsh. Not gonna lie.
Definitely. But the overall ending with Hiccup and Astrid and their children meeting up with Toothless and Light Fury and their hatchlings is pretty sweet and adorable in its way. It's a bittersweet ending, basically, because it showcases that the movie basically ended. Listen to this way: it does not have like a full on perfect utopia happy ending, and that's okay. That really showcases though how mature this movie and this franchise as a whole is, and it really does work out for the best. I think it really. Even though a lot of fans, did not like this ending and, it may be unsatisfactory, it definitely was an ending that probably was needed more than not because I feel like if they had just wrapped it up with like a, CGI, dance party or something, people would have been annoyed with that because that wasn't what this series was about. So, this movie, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this movie definitely needed to end on a note that truly mattered. And that also brings us to the Christmas special because good lordy, the Christmas special. First time I saw it was
up in it.
Yes, Light Fury does in fact show up to it, and she shows to be a very capable mama. And Toothless a very capable dad. So props to the creators for doing that 100%. Anyways, so
this is basically the finale of the entire franchise, the Christmas special. By the way, I just wanted to get that out there.
Until the Nine Realms comes along, and until Rescue Rider comes up. But anyways, so basically, the whole gist of that short was Hiccup wanted to make a pageant or a sort of play where that was giving ode to both Stoic as well as how humans and dragons were got along, basically, so that his daughter could not go on a whole dragon killing frenzy because she saw the very outdated and very tasteless original dragon manual that was made in the days of Oldberg. Let's be fair. Holy crap!
Right, that was one of the moments of the movie that definitely. Probably some of the funny parts of the special, rather. Sorry about that. But it definitely... It was a cute special. For a tie-in special, a tie-in Christmas special, they did a really good job with it. Basically the baby... I guess we'll call them the baby Night Furies are adorable.
Call them the Nightlights.
That's a good name. We'll call them that. The Nightlights. That's great. Great.
The Nightlight Furies.
Yeah, they are adorable. They are way cuter than Shrek's kids. I'm just putting this out there right now. They are way, way cuter than Shrek's baby ogres. Let's be real.
Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. And also a really clever touch with one of the Nightlights, the one with blue eyes and a more balance between black and white on him. He's basically smart. He's basically more open to humans. He's basically the dragon that would appear in Dragons to the Nine Realms, and it's a very, very subtle way of showing that he's very much open to humans. And honestly, I would need to watch more of the show and see where that goes, but that is some very clever development on the part of DreamWorks. Let's be fair.
Oh, definitely.
Also, oh man, the parts with them are so adorable and hilarious. Let's be fair.
Yeah, also, they did a good job with them. If you have to add little kids to a franchise, kind of like how again Shrek with the ogre babies, and that this Christmas special really showcases the really best way you could do it.
Mm-hmm. And the Yule and the Snoggletog log, but that doesn't have Nublus in it, so.
And that's basically literally just like a Yule log, so
it's
really not a lot
log
to talk about with it. I mean, it's
very funny. It has some charm to it. It gives character where characters do. It has a very funny payoff that I recommend you go see. But yeah, oh man. Yeah. In any case, I will also say this. When they get caught by the parents, it's just really adorable, and it's also very adorable that they themselves take the time to see the freaking pageant go on. And it's also a very nice touch that Toothless actually helps out Hiccup in his time of need, and also gets to interact a little bit with the kid, with Hiccup's daughter, and that's a very nice touch.
Exactly.
And that's another thing, really. I'm really happy that Nubless / Light Fury / Hakura came around. She, it really wouldn't have worked if she was like still hesitant and all like, I still hate you and whatnot. It honestly feels like that one scene from Life of Pi where the tiger doesn't really turn around. It just like looks into the forest. Like it doesn't growl. It doesn't do anything. It just goes off and does its own thing, but it doesn't really like end anything that was established in the movie, you know?
Exactly. That is exactly right. And again, it really is like the perfect cap off. Let's just say not so much to the franchise, but let's just say for like a Hiccup story. Basically, it really is probably one of the like perfect ways it could cap it off. It almost feels like it's correction for How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World's ending. It was like something that they did to try and not so much rectify it, but soften the emotional impact a little bit. Not
Make
that
it
it's a
better,
bad thing.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, back to How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World for a minute. This movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but lost to Toy Story 4, which stinks because I really, truthfully do not like Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4, in the words of Forky, is trash. It is trash. I mean, I'm sorry. It is probably my least favorite Pixar movie. Not so much for the animation or the characters, but just what it did for the franchise as a whole. If How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World was like the perfect way to cap off a franchise, Toy Story 4 was the worst. I am sorry. In no universe would Woody ever, in a billion million years, he would never leave Buzz Lightyear and all his friends. He would never do that, I feel.
Slight defense in that movie's favor. I will say two things about it that are positive. One, the villain isn't exactly a villain. She gets what she wants. She doesn't do anything underhanded to like really throw the hero under the bus. She doesn't throw Woody under the bus. She gets what she wants. And honestly, by the end, we feel for her. So that's one thing going for her.
I will say that.
Other
that
than
is
Duke
well
Kaboom.
done.
The second thing, granted, the movie ultimately built up that Woody was ultimately getting sidelined a little too much and that Bonnie was like kind of growing out of like Woody a little bit. Sure she still keeps him like I do, like a lot of people do a toy that they don't really play anymore but they really like. But yeah, to Woody, that honestly feels like it honestly felt like it was time for him to like maybe find something more active for him to do. Granted, he is a pretty solid leader, and it would have been nice if the movie decided to have Bonnie be like, hey, where's Woody and all that. But
that would have been hilarious. That would have been like if they had like an end credit scene where that happened, I would have laughed so hard. I'm sorry.
They also
like,
could have. Yeah, it also could have been a chance to have a real tearjerker for like Bonnie to like find Woody and like really hold him tight and realize, hey, maybe I'm taking him for granted just a little bit,
That's what I feel the movie should have been. I'm going to be honest. That is what I personally felt the movie how it should have ended. And I wonder if Toy Story 5 will rectify that because they are making a Toy Story 5. So we'll have to see what they do with that because. Let's be honest, they're going to find a way to put Buzz Lightyear in there because people like Buzz Lightyear and not the Chris Evans ones either.
Yeah, honestly, I honestly liked Lightyear a lot more than Toy Story 4. It's not perfect, but Lightyear did in fact have a lot of things going for it.
Right. No, I can see why. Yeah. It definitely was something new. But yeah, getting back to How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Yeah.
The thing is that DreamWorks, like I said, they knew where to end the franchise. They knew where to stop it. They knew basically when to say enough was enough. But it is such a shame we did not get a How to Train Your Dragon movie with like bad guys or Puss in Boots' Last Wish level animation. Just imagine the possibilities you could have done with that. You could have gone.
To be fair, it didn't necessarily happen yet. They were still like trying to work out some things, and like to be honest, And to be honest, like I don't think they had the thing like made yet.
No,
But,
maybe not.
yeah.
But it feels like it's a missed opportunity. That
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity for
if
sure.
they all make one like with this animation style, it definitely seems, almost like a missed opportunity, because just imagining how they could do like almost like the flying sequences with that level of quality in it would be just amazing. But not to say that these aren't great, because they are still fantastic movies. And speaking of DreamWorks and movies, after the two fantastic movies they just put out, which are Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: Last Wish,
Oh yeah.
which are two of the probably best animated features of 2022. Although for me, Del Toro's Pinocchio is my favorite. Their next movie is going to be Trolls 3.
What? Oh wait, Ruby Gillman comes after that. Never mind.
Yeah,
before that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. Oh, before. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread my notes. Whoops. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Doy. I forget that. But yeah. I was gonna make a joke about singing "Kill My Grandma." Okay. But yeah, now I can't.
that's fair.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, Ruby Gillman. Yeah. Right. That does look like a fun movie. I'm hoping it'll be a good time, and I'm giving it. Hopefully, The problem is when you do so many good stuff like that, it's kind of like the problem that I feel Pixar had in the 2000s after, Toy Story 3. I feel like, now this is again, my personal opinion, and I'll probably talk more about this when we do the episode on The Good Dinosaur, but Cars 2, I like Cars 2. Cars 2 is a fun time. It's a fun movie. It's not
made
as
her
bad as
tall tale
everybody
the movie and try not to think about it too hard aside from that.
And it's funny, but I feel like the problem is after Pixar had really such an amazing run of like hit after hit after hit after hit, eventually they were going to hit one that stumbles a bit. And I'm kind of afraid that's going to happen with DreamWorks, where they're going to have like hit after hit after hit, and then they're going to stumble, and everyone's going to be like, oh, well, they're not good anymore. And it's a shame that people are like that, because I feel like a studio's catalog shouldn't be compared to each other. That's just how I personally feel about it, That you should just take each movie as its own thing, whether it's, better than the last or worse than the last, shouldn't matter. Just be happy that they're still making it and you have them, and that they're still making, animated movies, whether, they're ones that you like or they're ones like Boss Baby.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because unfortunately every studio needs their "we need to make money" movie, and the Trolls franchise is absolutely that for DreamWorks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
even though
Like
there
how
are some
Cars was
moments
like that
where
for Pixar.
honestly, there are honestly some moments in the Trolls franchise where I do feel like they at least knew what they were doing in that regard. Not just like in the terms of
I could definitely
money
say
making,
they had a
but
fun thing
yeah.
with the animation style and the color palette, but yeah, it definitely is like we need to make money, the franchise, which again for like Pixar would be Cars, for Disney it would be Frozen, and well, everyone basically has that. So now it is time for the question of the week, which is what movie trilogy is your favorite and why? And I'm going to say, for my thing, like the trilogy that is probably the most perfect of them, like there is not a way any of them can be improved. They all flow with each other well. They all like work with each other well. There's a couple of little things from movie to movie, and maybe some aspects haven't aged the best. But for my personal thing, I feel like the best, probably most perfect trilogy is the Back to the Future trilogy. Because all three of those movies, they are made with such level of care and such level of precision. And of course, they filmed 2 and 3 back to back, which always helps, I feel, with the movie. And it's probably a tie between that and the Middle Earth movies, because I'm probably one of the 20 people in the world that like the Hobbit movies almost as much as I like the Lord of the Ring trilogy. But
Same
I feel
here.
like as a whole, the Middle Earth movies are like Back to the Future. They're one of the trilogies that are just so meticulous. They are so well done that they are movies that I literally can watch year after year after year, and I would never get sick of them, because there's always some level of detail, there's some line delivery, or there's some basically part of the action sequence that you never noticed before. And I definitely feel that's the best thing for a movie trilogy. that it has to be not just like rewatchable or not have like one be lesser quality than the other, but for my thing is, the rewatchability and the amount of enjoyment in each installment definitely helps out with it.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Angron, what would you have to say?
That is a bit of a tricky dicky, to be honest. I want to say the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy as well, but I feel there are others that could definitely do it just a bit more. And personally, I want to say the Avengers are easily the most flawless trilogy. Hear me out on this one though. Cause yeah, it's technically 4 parts, but I choose to see Endgame and okay, wait, no. God. Whatever. You
It's
know
okay.
what?
It's okay. Take your time.
You know what? Let me see here. What is another good trilogy that I find flawless?
Flawless. Just one that you really enjoy. Let's say that.
Oh yeah. That I really enjoy. Uh Yeah, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say the Avengers, because like I personally think Endgame is weaker than Infinity War. Hot take there. Wait, no. Actually, the Captain America trilogy.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
no,
yeah.
I could definitely see
I
that.
like Iron Man, but holy hell, that Captain America trilogy has been consistently like amazing to me. The first Avenger is better than than the 1990 Captain America. The Winter Soldier just felt so fucking amazing. Let's be fair. And oh my gosh, Civil War. I mean, I like the comic more than the movie. Hot take there again, but holy hell, that movie honestly had a lot of fun, and it was the first to introduce Spider-Man. So mad props to it for doing near the impossible. Let's be fair.
Exactly. I can definitely see that. So, Mathmachine, what would you have to say?
I'm a giant Tolkien nerd, so I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I didn't mention the Lord of the Rings. But as a huge animation buff, I actually gotta go the Toy Story trilogy.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
Especially
nice.
because it ended perfectly. Thank you for.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of the greatest animated trilogies, if not the greatest animated trilogy ever made, and it just worked great for how it was.
Yep, that is very true.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you with Toy Story that Toy Story 3 was the logical endpoint, and I feel like what they should have done is they probably could have just kept making on those short films that they did. The one
Yeah.
with Buzz and the fast food toys, the one with, Ken and Barbie, pretending they're having a Hawaiian vacation in Bonnie's house. The one with, them
Partysaurus
going to the
Rex.
motel and it's like, yeah, Partysaurus Rex. The one where they go in the motel and it's like a horror movie parody.
Oh yeah,
It definitely,
and the Christmas
were
one with the
that one too.
dinosaurs.
That one was fun too, but it's like those were so perfect. It's like you didn't need to make a movie. You didn't need to make a Toy Story 4. You could have just made like little short films in that till the end of time, basically. But
Oh
Yeah, but
yeah,
no,
money.
they didn't. Exactly, money.
yeah.
But
Money,
so,
dollar. Anyways,
yeah. So, Angron, what would you have to say? I know. Anyway, sorry, a LuckyEevee rather.
yeah.
I haven't actually watched any trilogies,
Okay.
at least all the way through.
Of the ones that you
But
have seen pieces and parts of, which would you say is your favorite in that case?
I think the only trilogy I've actually seen was Prequel Trilogy, and I was like 5.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
But I think one day I might go. I might just watch the Sinnoh trilogy.
I can see that. I can definitely
Yeah,
see that.
Sinnoh trilogy has very solid moments. Let's be fair. Like this is the
Yeah,
moment that introduced divine deities like Palkia, Dialga, Arceus, and freaking Giratina. So that's definitely something to consider. This was also the era that had Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Platinum. So you're in for a time, buddy.
yeah. I think I have manga of 2 of the trilogy.
Nice.
I think I don't have the Jewel of Life manga,
I see.
but I have Watchdog Flying and Guillotine and the Sky Warrior.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. It sounds like it'd be a good time. So now it is time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale, and we're going to talk about the Light Fury. Now, the way we're going to do this one is a little bit interesting because I'm going to review her probably first based on the How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and then I might do it also taking into consideration the Christmas special. So if I was to rank her just based on a Hidden World and basically the movie as a whole, I would give her an 8 out of 10. Pretty high score, I know, but I feel like, number one, the design is extremely well done. The romantic relationship, although, again, it could have been explored a lot more, I feel like it was still strong enough to where I could actually give it that level of a high rating, basically. Her relationship with Toothless is good. Her relationship with basically Hiccup and how it changes throughout the film is good. And I feel that overall, it definitely worked out for the best. I feel like it, for a character introduced in the, final installment of a trilogy, definitely she is excellent. Now, if we were to add the Christmas special into consideration, that rating would be bumped up to a 9 out of 10. I can't give her a perfect 10. It feels, weird for me to say it. I cannot give it a perfect 10. But I feel like Angron said earlier, that the Christmas special was well done enough to the point where, how it basically showed her personality changing and how she basically learned to, accept things, that it really boosted up, in my opinion. That is why, if I was to take, basically her in the movie, it'd be an 8 out of 10. That combined with the holiday special Homecoming would be a 9 out of 10. Angron, what would you have to say?
I would be a little less generous if we were going separate. If we were going separate things for the movie alone, I would give her a 7 out of 10 because the initial hostilities kind of dampen her down a bit. The design's great, and she later ultimately comes around. But yeah, I do agree that she ultimately does. She ultimately is a very unique thing, despite just being a technical Toothless clone. And I will also, and as for the holiday special, I would say an 8 out of 10 because like she definitely does have some of the parent tropes floating around, but not enough to really say that she was a bad character in that one. Overall, however, I would definitely have to say an 8 out of 10 because yeah, she definitely turns around, and it definitely shows in the Christmas special, and it also shows in the movie near the end.
I definitely can see that. That definitely is a thing. So let me just add that there. 8 out of 10. Okay, Mathmachine, what would you have to say?
I'd say an 8 across both.
Okay.
I do like her design. It's not a Toothless clone. I've never understood why people just say that that's the case. You can see in her modeling she is a lot smoother, whereas Toothless has the bumps, the scales that you can see when they're up close. She looks a lot smoother, cleaner, and acts more regal than Toothless. While Toothless is just the goofy dork, effectively, she presents as very sophisticated. And I really like that personality difference between the two of them. My reason for an 8 is, unfortunately, they just don't give her quite enough to do. It's still the Toothless show. They don't give her enough to really be herself. She is just Toothless's girlfriend, wife, whatever, and they just didn't give her. They tried to do that in the Christmas special, but it just didn't feel like enough. Still, you know.
I can see that. Yeah. So, LuckyEevee, what would you have to say?
I'd say 6 in general because I literally did not know this special existed until until now.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. So that's a pretty good score overall. If you have any questions or if you want to do the courtship dance with the Light Fury, you can email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Next time, we'll be talking about the 1991 movie Freddy as FR07. Until then, take care. That's going to be one of the weirdest movies we've covered on this show yet, and it's going to be a real fun time to talk about.
Yeah, that's for
Well,
sure.
by a mile.
Yeah. Anyways, peace, y'all.
Adios. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.